to Denton County line. I'm Lenny McAdams.
All the cable subscribers in the Denton area. Hey, Dallas.
I'm Lorinda. Denton's population is only 15,000. You know how everyone always says, back in my day? Well, this is it. We have schools, neighborhoods, this month's episode is Lil D Little? We found Denton's littlest small business.
Hit with a snowman, snow cone.
Why does everyone like shave ice so much?
The square footage of this building is 71 square feet. Outdated Wild West Shave Ice, $10 is your total. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Wild West Shave Ice on both. It's on the cup to make it super easy to remember, and that way you're going to know all the good, the bad, and the ugly about Wild West Shave Ice.
Review.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm a big reviewer.
Thank you. I am Suze Oaks with Wild West Shave Ice. We are located at 1640 West University in Denton, Texas. A shave ice is ice that has been shaved. It is not crushed ice or pebble ice like you would get with a snow cone. It is the smoothest, softest ice. It is like eating fresh snow. Well, and some exciting news, we are approaching our 100,000th snow cone made here in Denton. This building is about a 1950s old photo fox building. And those actually were built here in Denton and sent all over the country. So this is an original. To my knowledge, it was a FedEx drop-off spot where you would drop off your FedEx mails to get shipped off places. At one point in time, it was a pie shop. It was a coffee shop. And the last thing it was before I moved in was Frio's popsicle stand. A lot of people have known that this building has been here forever and a day. Some of the disadvantages, it is extremely small. It's, at most, I can put 3 people in there at a time to work. I don't have a lot of room for extra supplies. I have to haul in my water. I have to make sure that I have what I need every day coming into work. I don't have any extra storage, so what I have is what it has. I do end up bringing in a lot of extras, but there's not a lot of extra room for it. The other great thing, though, is the drive-thru. With the drive-thru, people don't have to get out of their car in 120-degree Texas heat, or if there's a mom with a sleeping baby, it makes it super convenient for them to swing in. Running a business, any business, is hard work. You have to be dedicated. You have to keep your books. You have to know your supplies. You have to have staff. I have to drive down to Louisville to the closest big cup distributor. I have my syrups come from across country, so I have to plan and I have to plan for shipping delays. I have to plan with staffing. I have to make sure that people are covered. Like with the Easter holiday, half of my crew wanted the holiday off, so I had to adjust for that. When running a business, there's a whole lot of things that you have to think about. I don't use any sort of additives that I don't have to, and so that's another challenge. I also don't skimp on my materials, because even with inflation and prices going up and down, like sometimes you would think that you would want to cut corners, and I don't. Quality over quantity every single time. I want the mom and dads to be able to come and treat their family and not worrying about how much it's going to cost, and not worrying about it costing them $50 to treat 3 of their kids, or having to tell them no. It's hard to explain it, but like,
and we're like,
being a small town girl from Wyoming coming into Denton, it feels like home. People are welcoming, people are nice, people ask you how you're doing. They care about their city. They want Denton to still feel that way, and that's important to me as a business. I want my business to still feel like you've just walked down to the corner and people know who you are, people know your name, people know that. I have people who come regularly every Sunday at 4 o'clock. I could time my watch by some of these people that come, and I know their kids' names, I know their orders, I know their birthdays. And by doing that, it just brings that full circle to that like hometown feel. No matter what we put in your cup, you can get ice cream, gummy bears, or gummy worms on the bottom. Completely optional, but no extra charge. Pick up to 3 flavors. I'm excited to be able to give Denton that place that you want to go for your birthdays, that place that you want to make sure that you hit on the last day of school and the first day of school. That spot where mom and dad brought you if you got an A on your report card. And we are doing that, and that makes us feel good.
The reason people like small towns is for that small town feel. Everybody knows everybody. It's comfortable, but maybe not so comfortable for everyone.
Nailed it.
Are we cut? Okay. Ooh, it's hot out here, right?
It's a 1906 house. It is Italianate is the style. It's a late Victorian. That chandelier was made by Thomas Edison's fledgling company. I've been writing a history piece for the Denton Record Chronicle for several years now, so I probably have, I think there's over 200 articles out there on it. My name is Annetta Ramsay, and we are in my home office on Oak Street. Denton, it was really just a settlement when it became the city of Denton. The area where the courthouse sat was heavily timbered, and you could work at your business in the morning and go shoot your lunch on where the courthouse sat. So it was just a tiny little settlement. They did not get all the railroads they wanted, and so when that happened, a group called the Syndicate decided to that education would be our business. And what they did was they set up UNT, and they did a terrible job. They gave them 10 acres. They gave them a handful of desks, a bell, I mean, just a small amount of stuff, and somehow, against all odds, UNT survived. But what they were doing was, it was a business opportunity for the syndicate. They were selling property all around the 10 acres, so UNT has been landlocked from day one. 10 acres was never enough for a university. We were there to make money, and the main person was Judge Carroll. Judge Carroll was a pretty aggressive man, and the syndicate became the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce has always had a very big hand in running the city. They don't like me to say that, but it is true. And it portrayed black men as unable to control their rage. So suddenly people were afraid of men because, you know, they thought they were all rapists. And also they had been to war and they knew how to use a gun. Truth was, everybody knew how to use a gun back then. Yeah, it was the Wild West. Alvin Elsley, Denton resident, said, when you put a gun in the hands of a Negro, it ruins the Negro. I believe in September of 1920, if I'm correct, there was a Klan rally, and it started over here at what used to be Calhoun Junior High School, wound around the square. That's when they left a note at the Denton, or the Record and Chronicle newspaper office, saying that the Klan stands for the sanctity of young women. Marion Browley, the president of TW at the time. Browley was a darling in Austin. He comes to Denton. The hateful people are like, oh, cool, we've met our man. So he was the president of the College of Industrial Arts. He was the chairman of the board, what became UNT. He was the president of the Chamber of Commerce, president of the Rotary Club. And I believe he did most of his stuff as the president of the Chamber of Commerce. And the reason I think that is that he talked about wanting to get rid of the Negroes in the middle of the city in a business way. Also, the Quakertown school burned in September of 1913. It was thought to be arson, and I can't imagine that it was anything other than Klan. And it has rotted. It's not like Tulsa, where they set a whole city on fire, but in some ways, I think that what happened in Denton was just as violent, just it took a different form. There were people who disagreed with this, and I know for a fact that the guy who built this house did not agree with this activity, because he and his neighbors got called out in a newspaper article on April 6th, 1920, and they called them selfish of spirit. Because who wouldn't want a park? Because the Quakertown was about having a park. And of course, when Quaker moved, there was no park for many years. Writing this book, it's a book about the Denton Women's Interracial Fellowship. They formed in 1965, just after the Civil Rights Act passed, and it became apparent that Denton was going to have to desegregate. Denton was the first city in Texas to desegregate. Yeah, and UNT was the first college team to have a black football player on it. So we had some really good things. These white women wanted to have like a friendship group with the black women. And they thought, well, if our kids are going to be in school, at least they'll have friends that are black, and it'll help them, it'll help the black children. The hours these women spent tutoring the black students, and actually the school district did nothing to prepare these kids for what they were going to face. There were things I was writing about that I just had to stop and not write for a day or two because it was pretty upsetting. That group is the neatest thing that I think Denton ever did. It was a group of women. So hopefully by the end of the year, it's in press at Texas A&M. That was a really good thing about Denton being a small town, was that people knew each other, and so for these white women who had never met a black person, this group grew to be about 70 people at its zenith, and it created an expectation throughout the city that racism wasn't going to be tolerated.
Here's the thing about Denton. So back in 1974, when I was born, kids would come to school at North Texas State University, and on the weekends they go home, and the summers they go home. If you had a small business like ours, you probably didn't survive. Well, I sure do miss the old days. It's time to take my vitamins. Before your parents started caring so much about you that they tracked you on your phone all the time, you went to Denton High School to get drunk. You went to Fry Street to get drunk. You went to the Square to get drunk. And you went to Jonathan's to get drunk and pick up old ladies. God, I miss those days. Back in our days, we learned to read by reading the Morrison Milling sign. Back in my day, if you wanted a personal pan pizza, you had to take the risk of getting in a gunfight with the Texas Rangers at Pizza Hut. So if you wanted any alone time, you had to sit around a bunch of other perverts at the rat hole. Back in my day, if you wanted to be mayor, there wasn't PAC money. There was Publishers Clearinghouse. Boy, things sure have changed. Back in my day, we didn't have Murder Kroger, Cheese Kroger, or MILF Kroger. All you had was the Big Pig and the Little Pig. They were both on University Drive, about 2 blocks from each other. Then they closed those and made the Good Pig. Good old Denton. Denton. Oh, wait a second. Oh, my kombucha's ready.
Oh no. That's the future. Denton's population keeps growing. Tonight's top story, how to save the soul of Denton.
No. I'd say it's a small city.
It's over 100,000 people.
100, yeah. It's if you want to go by the U.S. Census Place designation book, I think it counts as a small city or something.
Yeah.
And I know, people have been here a long time and they think of Denton as a small town, and those who have come in think of Denton as a growing small metropolis. And I really love our little world right here because we get the best of both worlds.
I always make this joke that if you're not inside the loop that's made by I-35 and the actual loop, you're not actually in Denton.
We feel like we're in a small town when we can choose to have regular engagements with the people we know in our neighborhood.
I think anymore it can feel really small townish, especially when you keep going to the same places. But seeing these more and more giant apartment complexes come in and just level everything and plop down with nothing interesting about them or nothing interesting around them, it can feel pretty big city.
We feel like we're in a small town when we can choose to have regular engagements with the people we know in our neighborhood.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's exploded, right? It's grown like crazy. Just population. I was coming up here when I was a kid. It was like we'd go to Recycled. That was kind of the only thing for somebody my age to do. That's fair. Go crazy on me now. Bam! $8 whole and 12 whole cents. A decade. Look there. That is a Jesse Fry beer made with Noble Ray in Dallas. And I guess now, I was part of that group that, John had just opened Oak Street. Oak Street had been open for a while. And then he opened East Side. And while we were working on this place, Maddie and John Lenz were opening up Harvest House. And so I saw all this growth all at once that I was a part of right on the square. So I love that. I love that the square blossomed like it did, and that so many people they gravitated to it, right? Compared to when I was a kid. But now I guess we're seeing a lot of folks moving into town that, what did we say on the census? The last, 5 years, we've seen 35,000 people added to the city. I would bet a good amount of that 35,000 don't even know what the square is.
One of the things that really sets it apart from the rest of DFW is there is such a strong presence of artistry and community that you see community in some other places, and you see art in other places, but it's not so intertwined with the identity of the city in so many other places. And that's what I want to help bring out, because I know there's so many more people in Denton that have something to show off, something to share, and don't have the chance to or are afraid to because they don't know where to go. So yeah, welcome to the control room. I'll basically talk about what's going on here. And almost all of our stuff was donated originally. So I have lights from American Airlines Center. I've got a graphic system from NBC5, like the desks, all of the TVs, Y2K non-compliant Grass Valley splitter. And now we have a ton of shows. Like next Friday, we're starting the D&D stuff, which may already be out by the time that people watch this. But the whole idea is that it's open to the public. So that people can come in here and use the space. And the only request I ask in return, no money, nothing like that. I just want to make sure that I can air it on TV and show it off. My name is Deane Marshall. I am the Senior Media Technical Manager at Mayborn School of Journalism, which means that I run the Denton Community Television Station and help a lot of the students with all of their projects. And we are in the Chilton studio. But all of it can be controlled by one person right here. We can record each of the cameras individually. I used to use this piece. This caused a huge issue for me. When I started, there was barely anything attached to DCTV, but it had a history. And I don't want Denton to lose that weirdness, and I want to bring it back. There's always going to be a fight between the loss of culture with the expanded amount of people and the new culture that exists and the old culture. You're going to have a fight between all three of those. And if I can just make sure that there's some way that we can keep that old culture and celebrate it, while also trying to create a new culture that exists in parallel to that old culture, it's something I want to do.
What they need to know. You need to relate today's events to the local scene.
Well, the pros and cons of rapid city growth. Folks are just buying houses to move to Texas. They don't know about this town. They don't know about the house shows, the art installations, the concert venues, the bars, the one-off restaurants. So one is you don't get folks that engage with the coolest parts of this town. Yeah, I cannot imagine what it's like to have to pull into this town brand spanking new and find a place that's affordable. Culture shock and financial shock all at once. Yeah.
So if someone's wanting to purchase like a $350,000 house and live comfortably with, say, the payment of, let's just go $3,100 a month, depending on how much you put down, of course, makes a difference. And that $3,100 includes your taxes, your insurance, the whole escrow bucket. It's probably going to be at least $110,000 to $125,000 a year salary, which you're going to have to be making six figures right now. And that's where you're seeing the average first-time homebuyer right now is 38 years old. 38. Okay, like I was 29. Was I 28? 20? I was late 20s when we bought our first house. But you look, and I remember going to some forecast, real estate forecast several years ago, and a professor speaking, and he kept saying, your future kids that are graduating college are not going to be able to buy a house. And we were like, oh, whatever. They're going to graduate. They can't. I mean, when I first got licensed, our home, we bought it in 2004. Well, I got licensed in 2008. So we bought our first house in 2004, got that house, brand new construction home in South Denton, Sundown Ranch, $144,000. And honestly, at that time, John and I were like, oh, we're buying such an expensive house. This is more than we could ever even imagine. Like, that's probably over our budget. That same house now is like $375,000. It's crazy to me. How I survive my caffeine, my sweet tea, and my caffeine. I probably don't need it. It's nuts. As a real estate professional, you're right. Denton, it's still affordable compared to other places. But is it really affordable? Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. And I have different perspectives because for me, as a local agent, the past couple years, I've found it hard that like my people that work in this community can't afford to live in this community. So your teachers, your city employees, the ones that are working hard and their pay doesn't help with the cost of living that we have here. So that's a whole different topic.
You have alternate routes going out, but
the starving artists are all working 70 hours a week to be starving artists instead
10
of
hours
30.
Right.
And they have positive pressure systems.
Homelessness, but it reduces the severity of it.
Denton is still yeah, so Stronger Denton is what is termed a strong town's local conversation. It's really just people who care about their town coming together to try to talk through some of the issues and concerns and ways forward that the Strong Towns national organization talks about. And I would say it's really come down to are we letting our communities be incremental anymore? Or are we forcing them to be, what they say, built to a finished state?
If you travel abroad, you see all these different ways of structuring your cities, and we just don't see them in the US anymore. And we go on vacation there, and we love it there, and then we have to come home to the same suburban bullshit. And it gets to you wondering to where like, well, why aren't we doing this? And then you start looking into it and you find out, oh, it's hell to do it.
The way the city is currently, the way it is zoned, it is a lot. There's a lot of non-conforming, but then if you build new stuff, it's either strip mall with a large parking lot, single family home, or large apartment complex. It's not, you cannot build conforming use without following those rules. So like all the cool places that are downtown in Fry Street are not allowed to be built today.
I always make that argument. I'm like, if downtown were to burn down today, like the whole place, it would be functionally illegal under our laws to rebuild it as it is right now.
Okay, my name's Liam. I'm a graduate of the UNT Urban Policy and Planning program. UPOP for life.
My name is Christine. I am a member of Mobility Committee, Zoning Board of Adjustments, alongside Liam.
Yep.
Formerly chair of Charter Review Committee. Stronger Denton is a group where we talk about better cities. How do we make more housing options so that rent can go down? How do we make it easier to get around? How do we make it so that there can be more like small businesses and arts culture and all of those things from the perspective of like city laws and city codes and the power that the city has over those things. It's really important for me. I'm a trans woman. Denton is one of the few cities in Texas that is relatively safe for transgender people. And so if it's expensive to live here, or if you're a disabled trans person and it's impossible to get around without a car for you, that's a huge problem for my community because there's very few communities that we are safe in.
We don't really have strong power. Our power is caring. Like, we care enough about this stuff to try to raise attention, to go to the meetings, to be involved, to put our efforts behind it, to raise awareness, those kind of things. So that's our limited power. And it means more in these small towns where people don't go out and vote as much in the primaries. They don't. Like, our power is that we care enough to go out and do the thing.
But yeah, like for the like areas like literally like I-35, like
I'm not trying to say like everything is bad, but I will say that over the decades where we used to allow like anybody to do anything, right, as far as expanding their building or whatnot, then we had really bad things happen, like Chicago fires, and the old courthouse burnt down before the one that we knew and loved, and
right.
Maybe we would have liked that older one better. I don't know, right? And so there's real needs for community safety, fire safety that have to be thought about when you expand and build new buildings. In my view, we've gotten so many more layers of that what it creates is an environment where opening up a 800 square foot restaurant is not profitable for somebody who wants to build a building, while, you know, putting in another target is easy because they can get a loan rubber stamped in an afternoon.
No,
right?
it's like I get it like a GoPro or something and ride your bike on Oak, like the Oak Street bike lane, and see how safe you feel.
Exactly. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And through a car, because that's the least harsh way to do it.
Yeah. No.
Well, I keep hearing the roads are all clogged and we're not prepared for new neighborhood development and runoff and flooding. And that's one that I horribly hate to say this, but I ignore it, right? That's not something I can control. But yeah, those would be the downsides.
Yes, it's changed, of course, with the population boom and the construction and, you know, just all the commercialization going on, but the camaraderie is still there, I think.
Upside is you have more folks, those that do know, right, that are on the inside of everything that's going on, or that go out and engage the community, they get added to the fold. You get another voice to shout about all the cool stuff going on, or to, you know, clap at the band, or buy that art piece, or what else we got? Mac and Cheese Festival. What the hell are we doing? That's still going strong. That's an awesome festival put on by Komodo and Oak Street. 3 of those are designed by Matthew Salick.
I started my career out in Deep Ellum back in the late 80s. I had been working a few years before that, but man, once Deep Ellum hit, it was off like a rocket. But we moved out of Deep Ellum and moved to the country, bought a house out in the country so my kid Cameron here wouldn't live in the city and could kind of have a country life. And man, going from Deep Ellum to Burleson was rough. They had no idea what murals, they call them murials, they had no idea what it could do for a town.
So now I think it's helped that there's more murals in town, and I think a lot of people notice if you start doing one mural on a building, other buildings start wanting that type of thing. How you doing? People love it. It becomes part of the community. Before you know it, people start opening businesses themselves. This is called art-based economic development, and it's a way to bring art to people who don't necessarily go to the art museums and stuff. It's all empty today.
Community. People like the sense of community that they have. They like the feeling and the sense of safety with a close-knit community. You know, someplace that they can raise their kids.
And coming from Deep Ellum to that was quite a contrast. It was pretty sweet because it was safe. We did know all our neighbors. My mower broke, my neighbor would bring me his to use. You know, you really build a bunch of close friendships. Everybody actually is quite caring in a small town.
But to that point, when you do have, I lived in Denton when I first moved to Texas in '88. It was to Denton. And I love Denton. I love it. It's a great college town. It's just a great city. And to me, when people don't hold on to what makes Denton great, they don't have a sense of pride for that. What brings to mind is a saying that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Then everything gets to be disjointed, and a city can lose its identity that way.
It's not as unique as it once was. Like Austin was always unique because there were all these different types of restaurants and everything. And with that explosion they had, people are worried they've lost the culture. But I still go over there, and there's still a lot of crazy people with ideas that just want to start up something you never heard of it before. So I think it's still a really creative town, and people are trying everything there. But you just have to be careful because sometimes the corporations do take over, and it becomes just like every town you travel through. If you don't have an old town to kind of help. So in my opinion, I think they should keep exploring stuff to do in the old part of town.
What? What are you saying about me? Nothing, nothing whatsoever. How about you?
I want to be an esthetician when I graduate.
A what? Sorry, I have, my hearing aids have been really, and it sounded like you said you wanted to be an executionist, and I was like,
Not her.
what?
Not me.
Weird.
You guys look alike. I love it.
I don't know who that's insulting to.
You know what? It's funny, when this grows out, it's curly like yours. He looks, you know, when we've lived in the other small towns, we knew the neighbors. When I went to, God, I wish I could remember the name. Oh, Spencer's, the pharmacy in Pasadena. It was, you know, with the soda jerks and everything. I am kind of that old. You know, you knew the people working behind the counter. So, and that's where, you know, you still get some of that here. We know a lot of the people because we interact with them daily. So in that regard, it's still small to me. I know the people I'm working around, but it's, again, like you said, it is a growing metropolis. You know, new people are coming in all the time, and they bring in both, you know, can be good and bad. They bring in the good to me because they want to see more happen around here. So when they, you know, say we'd like this, this, and this, and people respond and try to bring it, I think it makes the whole community better.
That's fair. Yeah, that's kind of a scary thought, to lose that heart and that genuine. That's the other word I use often for Denton. It's not, if you have enough money, you can be creative or you can be a part of that creative scene. No, you actually have to show up to the gallery shows and go out for drinks and go to the amped guard battles at McKenna, you know, to meet these people. And Denton has that for sure. It's there. It's still there. Yeah. Wait, am I looking at you or am I looking at this camera?
Whatever's most comfortable for you.
Because this is not comfortable. Yeah. I am Ben Easley, and I'm here at the Bearded Monk.
It is yes, no, maybe. How's that for the answer? You know, there's obviously, again, here, yes. If you're over by where Buc-ee's has expanded to, no, it probably doesn't seem that way. I mean, the idea of, I love Buc-ee's to death, but the idea of that giant place in a small town just seems weird. But it really is, because it's over there off, you know. You don't want to go to Buc-ee's, you don't have to go to it. I have both worlds here, and it's great.
Our next segment features a song from a man who's deeply rooted in Denton's community. As a blues musician, he has one foot in the past and one foot in the future.
My name is Will Kapinos. I'm also known as Dim Locator. I've been a musician in Denton for almost 30 years now. Played in lots of bands, been involved with the music scene. I'm going to play an old blues song by an old Texas bluesman named Mance Lipscomb. This is called Ain't It Hard.
Whenever you're ready. Roll it.
Ain't it hard? 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 my grave, skip clean. Ain't it hard? 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 Yeah, man, but you know it's true. You can love somebody that don't love you. You can love somebody that don't love you.
How's that rain hitting you?
It's getting me good. This is not my usual venue.
No, not even. The future is inevitable. Thanks for watching this month's episode. If you'd like to keep in touch with Lil D TV, feel free to send carrier pigeon, see you at the movie theater, or tune into the radio. Okay. Thanks for watching.